Good morning. It is Friday, July 21st as I'm recording. And this is going to be my first time being back in my garden since Tuesday morning. So I think Tuesday morning was the 18th. We took a trip to Texas for 2 nights and got back late last night. And now I'm going to go out and see what has changed in the garden since Tuesday. I did notice from my kitchen window this morning that one of my giant sunflowers is awake and looking pretty. So not only is it giant, it's also in a raised bed. So it's way up there. I'm going to enjoy watching the birds feast on that from my kitchen window. So I haven't flown in 15 years, and my husband and I haven't flown together since our honeymoon about 22 years ago. So this was an unplanned last-minute trip. My husband was invited to attend training classes or convention or something for Signature Solar and EG4 down in Sulphur Springs, Texas. And so we decided to go. Alright. So these sunflowers are not going to be yellow ones. They're going to be a dark red. They shouldn't be as tall as the giant ones. These green beans are still not producing yet. They're just starting to flower. Thankfully, while we were gone, it did rain every day. It would have been way too hot otherwise. My children did stay nearby with grandparents, and they came over each day to take care of the animals and harvest a few things. And I would have had them water stuff if it was needed, but it rained a little bit each day while we were gone. So here are those broma plants that I said I knew wouldn't last much longer. They are basically just tomatoes now. I'm going to harvest those this morning. I'm not going to get to making tomato sauce until next week, so I have been freezing what I harvested earlier last week. The corn definitely got taller in the last 3 days. I did have the kids harvest ripe tomatoes and green beans and cucumbers while we were gone. But I can see there's a bunch more getting ready. I was really worried they would all at once ripen on the 3 days I was gone. So I'm glad, of course, they didn't. They ripened slowly. And my favorites, the Golden Jubilees. I'm going to be having tomato toast this morning. Oh, yummy. I saw before we left Tuesday morning this zucchini plant had died, so squash plants took that one from me. But look at this one. This one's still doing really good. And look. You can see big old zucchini in there. Go ahead and take that off before I forget. So I'm going to leave that there. More flowers, so I should get a few before the bugs take over, but look, there's the eggs. Alright, these green beans can be picked. Cayenne have lots of little baby peppers coming on, but they won't ripen till the end of summer. What's this? Did I put a zucchini plant over here? Oh, looks like I did. Totally forgot. I don't see any flowers. Oh, lots of squash babies. They're going to kill these, I'm sure, before I get any fruit. These are my green bean seeds. them dry out today in the sun, and then I'll probably take those in so they don't get rained on this weekend. Oh, I see some yellow cucumbers in there. So I will go ahead and let these stay on the vine so I can get seeds from them. If you want seeds from your cucumbers, they have to ripen all the way on the vine. These are the oldest plants, so they'll be finished producing first. It's okay. They're hard to find, those cucumbers, so I didn't expect the kids to get them all anyway, but they did get a bunch. Now these beefsteak tomato plants aren't looking very happy, but they're full of tomatoes. Alright, now these are the Brandywines, and they're supposed to be orange. Look how big that thing is. It's so misshapen though. I'll end up just putting it in a sauce probably. Cherry tomatoes are very ready. Good morning, Blueberry. Good morning. I know, you're not allowed in the garden. He is so glad we're back. You're a good boy. Calendula is drying. These little guys are the seeds on the calendula flowers. So they look like little underwater sea creatures and calendula seeds. These are the younger cucumber plants. This corn's growing up quite nice. And these Roma tomato plants are just starting to have the first little specks here of disease, but I'm not going to worry about it because I'm going to be getting tons and tons of fruit off there before the plants die anyway. First one's starting to turn a little. Let's see, there's some weeding to do in this bed. Let's check these green beans, see if they're making anything yet. Yeah, there's a couple baby green beans. So I'll probably be picking these on Sunday. A few anyway. Still a little bit too small to harvest yet. Pumpkin squash are still growing nicely. I shouldn't look for squash bugs because I'm just going to let them live anyway, but I'm curious if they found their way over here yet. I don't see any signs yet. Let's see. Here's my huge kale plant. Still hasn't bolted. It's been about a year. Bunch of ready tomatoes. And these are the youngest of the green bean plants, so I know that they're not ready yet. Look at these dahlias. I really like pinks and purples. They're my favorite, but I have learned this year that I also really like the orange and yellows. They're very pretty. Let me just check over here on the watermelon. They're looking a little bit yellow. I wonder if there's squash bugs in here causing problems. But there's still plenty of watermelon growing, so I'm not going to worry about it. Do I have any pimentos yet? Yay, look at that. And there's pimentos growing. Oh, I am completely out of my pimento stock. So I need to can a year or two's worth this year. So I'm hoping to get a whole bunch of plants that produce well for me. And here's the unexpected not cherry tomato plant. Still wondering what it's going to be. It does not look like a golden jubilee to me. It's looking more like a beefsteak. We'll see. Some weeds that I'm going to need to get in here and yank out. Do that later though. Oh, look at those. I know this might seem like minor to you, these little bits of weeds here, but we've worked for so many years to not waste time with weeding, to be very efficient with weeding. So we really do stay on top of them when they're just little bits here. If you haven't seen the progression video that I made at the end of last year of how our garden has changed over the last 9 years, take a look at that. Maybe I'll link that one at the end. But we really put a lot of time and effort and money into not having to weed that much, to just focus our energy on growing and preserving food. These are going to be the spaghetti squash. Don't see any bug signs yet there. The extra basil. Alright, let's go check out the other side. Zinnias, so pretty. This is the sweet potato row. And I've just been coming along. Sweet potatoes can grow like crazy. So I've just been picking up the branches that try to grow into the walkway and pushing them back in with the vines. And if they get too excessive, I'll just clip them off. But I'm trying to keep everybody in the growing beds and out of the walkways. I know people that farm and do a whole lot put down plastic. And before, in the past, we have let the sweet potatoes go wherever they wanted to. And they really do go wherever they want to. They make a lot of potatoes that way too. Weeds. Alright. Yes, we will have to catch up on weeding today and Sunday. See all that stuff there? I hate that. I can't even leave it. I gotta get that out. We just throw them in the walkway and they get run over by the mower later. So nice. Alright, I gotta make myself stop or I'm not gonna be able to finish this video. Okay. So, these are some good looking green beans. There's already a couple bags in the fridge for me that the kids harvested, so if we'll get some more today, maybe I'll make time to can these today. Pinto beans are growing up very well, and they are starting to make their way into the path. So I'm going to tuck those back in. No pinto beans. Otherwise, I'll just mow them. More green beans. Look, one of the volunteer seeds that are in this row, and I saw a couple in the bed here, are amaranth. I grew amaranth here last summer just to try it out. I've never done it before. And the seeds spread themselves, so I think it's supposed to be like a lettuce. You can eat the leaves, but I'm not always adventurous. Might try some later. So, peppers are still growing nicely. More green beans to harvest. Definitely need to get these all picked up today. See, there's some more amaranth hiding under the squash. This is more spaghetti squash over here. And the volunteer sunflower plant is getting picked over by the birds. Might try and save a few seeds from that this year. I like having some of the shorter sunflowers with multiple heads as well. And I'm not sure if the children picked strawberries while I was gone. But there's plenty of ready ones for breakfast today or dessert after lunch. So I was pretty worried when I left about leaving the garden for 3 days in the middle of summer. But I'm very grateful it worked out with rain and the kids still being able to come over and harvest some stuff. There's a big pretty sunflower coming up. I love watching the birds come out and hang upside down to harvest seeds. So pretty. Well, there's never a shortage of wonderful things to do outside. If it wasn't for the garden, I really wouldn't volunteer to come out much in the summer. I'm grateful it feels cool right now this morning. There's a nice breeze. So we'll see. Gotta get food ready for Sabbath, do a little laundry, unpack, straighten the house, and then see how much garden work I can get through. Well, squash over here seem to be doing good so far. I forget the name of it. It's some big white flat squash. If I find the bag, I'll take a picture and show you. If you've hung around this long, I thought I would throw in a few clips from our trip to Texas. I entertained myself on both plane rides and during the solar classes with the cross stitch that I work on when I travel. This is a cross stitch with all 5 verses from Amazing Grace on it, and I'm nearing the end. We were only actually in Sulphur Springs for about 40 hours altogether, including sleeping 2 nights. But I did look up some of the local spots we should see while we're there, and these glass bathrooms was one of them. They're completely glass on the outside, but you can see out from the inside, and you're in a public square.
Run across it.
So where's the door? Probably on this side over here.
You can't see out.
Yes, you can when you go in, you can see.
Yeah, you can.
Well, I chose to pass on the experience of taking advantage of a public glass bathroom, but it was a beautiful little town square that they have built here. There's a water fountain for kids to play in, there's nice shops, and we enjoyed a late dinner that evening on the corner at a Mexican restaurant. Knowing what hotel breakfasts usually have to offer, I did bring my own blueberry muffins with me on the trip. These are the blueberries we picked from the blueberry farm last week, and they were delicious. We also had the experience of driving a hybrid rental car. I think it was a Hyundai, but we had never been in one of the cars that has self-driving, so it was an interesting experience. If we ever did buy an electric car, it would have to be a full electric because we have our own solar system at home, so it wouldn't make sense to have a hybrid. We would just go complete electric. While we have a new appreciation for the cities and the technology and the travel that they make possible, it smelled so good to get back home to Virginia and escape to the country and return to our homestead and our children. I hope that you are blessed with the opportunity to hug someone tight today, tell them you love them, and remember to live joyfully.